The Avengers Age of Ultron is here, finally, at last. Thank you. One of the biggest blockbusters of the whole summer, one of the biggest blockbusters of the whole year, actually. One of those movies that a lot of people can get around. Film fans, comic book fans, regular average moviegoer can get around, and they can just sit down, shove some popcorn in their mouth, and enjoy a movie. And this works marvelously on that level. Now in this film, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner set out to create an artificial intelligence program that can be the first line of defense against aliens and just other potential threats for the Earth. Now of course this goes awry and Ultron is born. Now I won't get into the specifics of his creation or development. I will say it goes by a little bit quickly. It feels a little bit rushed. But once things start kind of moving along and Ultron's ideas of a perfect world and protecting civilization don't quite match up in line with Stark's or the Avengers in a whole, that's when the film really starts picking up speed and it starts really chugging along. One thing I want to praise right off the bat are the characters and the chemistry between them. Phenomenal, top notch. If you watch the Avengers, you'll know that every character interacts with each other. Imperfect people trying to create a perfect world and try to be the perfect heroes. Now, obviously, there are bumps along the road, but this handles them marvelously. Even when they're at each other's throats and even when they're kind of bantering back and forth, it just works so well. Everyone's clicking along on the same beats, and it just works so well. The characters translate to the screen just perfectly in this movie. I was a little bit hesitant on adding some new Avengers, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Doubts flew right out the door right when they appeared on the screen. I was a little bit worried about having maybe too many characters in this movie. And I have to say that everyone had their own time to shine. There wasn't a single part to where it was focusing on X character and everyone else was ignored. Everyone had a part in the central story, and that's something that I really liked about this movie. And while those were great, there was one thing that I wish could have been a little bit better, and that was kind of the loose ends of the story. Joss Whedon, the director, has said that the original cut of this movie is supposed to be 3 hours long, or a little bit over. The theatrical runtime of this is about 2.5 hours, let's say. So that's a good amount of footage that's missing. And in some ways, it definitely shows. There are characters that are introduced, and then you never see them again. And I feel like they maybe film these scenes that kind of resolve these conflicts or issues, or, you know, what's going on in the story. Maybe we'll see these characters again. And for time reasons, or pacing reasons, or, you know, whatever the reasons may be, they just didn't make the final cut. And once you see the movie, you'll definitely, at least I think, be able to see, like, that didn't go anywhere. That character showed up and he's gone, and we see him for a minute and he never comes back. Now, while that's a little bit of an issue for me, there are a lot of things that this film did right. The CGI was excellent. Some of the best CGI I've seen in a film, period. Things are blended so seamlessly that don't kind of bloat the movie, they don't drag the movie down or make it feel sluggish at all. The CGI is there for a reason in every scene, and in my opinion it did enhance the movie in a certain way. I really like the fact that everything was just so real. Not in a sense that, like, I believe that man is 9 feet tall and weighs 1,000 pounds and he's green. Real in the sense that you turn your brain off and you think, that isn't some guy sitting behind a computer for 1,000 hours making that picture. Or, you know, when Iron Man is interacting with his different gadgets and technology, you feel like maybe this might exist. Maybe if I had billions and billions of dollars, maybe this exists. And that's something that I felt really kind of pushed me into the movie a little bit more. It made me feel like I was a little bit more of a part of the movie, instead of having things that are nitpicky in my brain, that I could just turn it off for a little bit and think, oh wow, that looks very realistic. That building looks like how a building would look if it were exploding and a, 10-foot tall robot was flying through. Oh, yep, there he goes. There's Thor. He has a hammer with lightning shooting out of it, and yeah, that looks real. One thing that's improved upon in this movie tremendously over the first one is the humor. If you thought the first one was funny, I think you'll really, really like the second one. There were parts where I was just laughing out loud in the theater. I had a big smile on my face. Similar to how the Hulk kind of stole a couple scenes in the first movie, Hawkeye in this movie, my goodness. They saved, in my opinion, some of the best writing and jokes and kind of banter throughout the entire movie and just threw it at Hawkeye. And Jeremy Renner surprised me beyond belief with his comedic abilities in this movie. He had me laughing so many times. There's a line towards the end of the movie with Scarlet Witch that when you hear it, you'll know. Now, one thing that I will complain about with this movie is that if you haven't seen any of the other Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, you might not want to make this your first one. There's a lot of scenes and characters and events and plot points and themes throughout the whole entire saga, I guess if you want to call it, that are referenced in this movie, and I feel like at times it depended just a little too much on kind of like a, hey, do you remember this? Well, if you weren't paying attention during that scene in that movie, this might not make a lot of sense to you. And that's something that I felt like alienated some of the audience members, at least in my showing. There were people who were like, what is going on? Who is that guy? You know, and if they're newcomers, and if there are newcomers watching this movie, maybe go back and see the Avengers, or, you know, just pick up a couple of movies along the way to get a better grasp of what's going on during this movie. Overall, this movie did do a really good job at being a summer blockbuster popcorn action kind of visual spectacle that everyone was expecting it to be, and it did hold up within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I still think The Winter Soldier may be a little bit better, but overall it was a really solid movie. For that, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Now, one thing, as always with every Marvel movie, there is a scene after the credits. Well, more during the credits. I won't spoil it, no spoilers whatsoever. I will say though, after you see it, you can leave. There's nothing to wait for, you'll know it when you see it, and you're done. Don't worry about it. So anyways, leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this, feel free to subscribe. You'll be able to see some more movie reviews as I release them. And thanks for watching.